At 20, Jake Thompson had earned a reputation in his small town. He was the kind of guy who always had a smirk on his face and a mischief in his eyes. He'd been suspended from school more times than he could count, spent nights in detention, and had a series of run-ins with the local police. Everyone knew Jake as the troublemaker, the guy who could talk his way out of anything, the one who always had a quick, smart remark and never took life too seriously. But Jake didn't mind. It was easier that way. If you kept people at arm's length and didn't care about anything, no one could hurt you. His parents had tried to get through to him, but after years of failed attempts, they had stopped trying. His friends, well, they were just as wild and rebellious as he was. They were more about partying and breaking rules than thinking about their futures. Then, everything changed the day he met Lily. It was the beginning of spring, and the town's high school was holding a charity event for the local animal shelter. Jake had no intention of attending, but his friends had dragged him along, looking for trouble as usual. The event was held in the park, and Jake had already scoped out a few potential spots where he could sneak off and not be bothered. But that was before he saw her. Lily stood at a booth, handing out flyers about the shelter's adoption program. She had long brown hair, tied up in a messy ponytail, and bright green eyes that seemed to see right through him. She was kind but focused, passionate about the cause. Jake watched her for a few moments from behind a tree, unsure why she was so different from the other people around. She wasn't like the girls who usually paid attention to him, girls who liked the bad boy image, who liked the thrill of rebellion. Lily wasn't impressed by him. In fact, when he finally made his way over to her booth, she barely looked up as he leaned on the table, offering his signature smirk. "Hey there," Jake said, trying his usual charm. Lily glanced at him briefly, then went back to sorting through the flyers. "Hey," she replied coolly, her voice steady and unbothered. "You interested in adopting a dog, or just looking for trouble?" Jake chuckled. "Just looking for trouble, I guess. What's your name?" "Lily." She met his gaze for a moment, her eyes serious, before adding, "Jake, right? The one who's always causing a scene." Jake was taken aback. He wasn't used to people calling him out like that, especially not with such honesty. Normally, he could get away with anything, but Lily wasn't impressed by his reputation. "What's it to you?" Jake asked, trying to mask the discomfort creeping into his voice. "I just don't get why someone would waste their life on being a troublemaker," she said, her tone light but direct. "There's so much more to life than whatever it is you're doing." Jake stared at her, speechless for a moment. No one had ever said that to him before. Most people just wrote him off as a lost cause, but Lily, in her quiet way, was challenging him. He didn't know why, but her words stuck with him. Over the next few weeks, Jake found himself coming back to the charity event more often, just to see Lily. They started talking, first about the animals she cared for, then about life in general. It was easy to talk to her, even though he didn't have much to say at first. She was different from anyone he had ever met. Lily didn't care about his past, his reputation, or his history. She was only interested in who he was now, in the person he could become. One evening, after another long conversation under the stars at the shelter's event, Jake found himself walking Lily home. The night was quiet, with only the sound of crickets and distant laughter filling the air. "I've been thinking about what you said," Jake said, his voice uncharacteristically serious. "About wasting my life." Lily smiled, but it wasn't condescending. It was warm and understanding. "You don't have to be what people expect you to be. You can change, Jake. People can change. I think you've got a good heart, even if you don't see it yet." For the first time in a long time, Jake wasn't sure how to respond. He had never allowed anyone to get that close, never let anyone see past his tough exterior. But with Lily, it felt different. The next few months were a blur of change for Jake. He started showing up to school on time, actually doing his homework, and even joining some of Lily's charity events. Slowly, he let go of the reputation he had built for himself, the one that said he was nothing but trouble. He realized that Lily was right. There was more to life than causing chaos, and it was time for him to grow up. One summer evening, after a long day of volunteering at the shelter, Jake walked Lily home again. This time, he felt a sense of pride, not in the trouble he used to make, but in the person he had become. "Lily," he said, his voice soft, I think I've finally figured it out. I want to be better. For you. For me. Lily turned to him, her eyes glowing in the dim streetlight. Jake, you already are. You just had to see it. And with that, Jake knew that the boy he had been was gone, and the man he was becoming was someone worth believing in. Not because of the things he'd done, but because of the person Lily had shown him he could be. It wasn't just love that had changed him, it was the belief that someone, for the first time, saw him for who he could be, not for who he was.